I held off on getting one of these initially, and now I regret that choice. In Lionel's 2023 Volume 2 catalog, the F19 Pacifics were announced to be returning to Lionel's offerings for the first time since their first run, all the way back in the 2007 Volume 2 catalog. These models finally arrived in late 2024. I've wanted an F19 in my collection for a number of years, and much to my surprise, the price of these beautiful Pacifics didn't go up much between the 2007 TMCC offering and these new 2023 Legacy offerings. In 2007, these had an MSRP of $1,159.99. In 2023's release, these were offered at $1,299.99, with the same details, improved electronics, and whistle steam added. 16 years apart, the price difference is really negligible, a rather nice surprise, especially from Lionel. Now, these models are still readily available new from most of the big hobby shops, despite being on the market for almost a year. And I think in many ways that is because they are still expensive models. The price didn't go up much from 2007, but these are without a doubt still on the more expensive end of the hobby. The new market is expensive, if we are being honest. And yet, I can't help but feel this model restored some faith in Lionel, at least for me. After the operational and cosmetic issues of the Lionel Legacy Moguls, and the cosmetic shortcomings of the brass hybrid decapods, and various issues with other older Lionel releases I had gotten when new, my confidence in Lionel had all but evaporated. Then the F19s came along, and finally I had a Lionel product that didn't disappoint me. This sharp, albeit odd-looking 462 is a model of the Chesapeake and Ohio F19 Pacific. Built in 1926 by Alco, these engines serve the C&O on luxury passenger trains like the George Washington and the Sportsman. The F19s were rebuilt in the C&O's Huntington, West Virginia shops into new L1 class Hudsons from 1946 to 1947, intended for use on the Chessie Streamliner passenger service. Of the 5 F19s, all of which were converted to L1s, only 490 survives. Still in her L1 configuration, the 490 resides in the B&O Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. Visually, these F19s are stunning models. The engines have a lot of polished details like the real F19s had, as well as a lot of front-end piping and appliances. Front-end air compressors, shiny cylinder heads, decorated feed water heaters really make these engines stand out, especially among passenger engines. The detail Lionel put into these models is really rather impressive, and for the level of detail on them, they feel surprisingly sturdy in the hand. The piping does not immediately flex and warp when touched, making picking these models up a lot easier, as bumping the piping while grabbing the engine's more sturdy structures doesn't impact the piping. The engine does lack a drop plate between engine and tender, which is typical from Lionel, and it lacks any safety tread along the walkway, another expected lacking from Lionel. The locomotive does feature texturing on some of the steam lines on the front end, and does have a whistle pull cord running to the cab. Details often only found on Lionel's more expensive brass hybrid or Vision line models. The paint quality and finish is extremely good. No flaws or chips, including on the polished pieces and feed water heater decorations. I did, however, find this, a plastic lens, loose in the box. I'm not sure if it is even off this F19 or if it was off another model and fell into the box, as this model appears to have all of its plastic lenses. Luckily, it appears to have resulted in no damage to the engine's paint. Additionally, one of the magnetic pads from the underside of the sand dome's cap came off and is now magnetized to the magnet on the sand dome's base. Fortunately, this has not impacted the ability to secure the cap to the dome with only one magnet functional for securing the cap. The only true critique of the model's appearance would have to be the top of the smoke box. A very clear seam on the shell is visible here. I'm not certain, as photos of the F-19s from the top haven't been easy to find, but I do not believe the F-19s had a seam on the top of the smoke box. The sounds on the model are generic Lionel legacy sounds. That is not to say they are bad. The only F-19 left is now an L1 and has not run in many years, so recording authentic audio is not an option. The first whistle included does a well enough job at representing a CN06 chime for my liking. The speaker quality and volume it can push out are actually quite impressive. The engine's operations so far have been good. Slow speed operation has been very good, and the pulling power has been more than adequate to lug my heavyweights around. The engine hasn't had any issues traversing my switch, though I have not tested this on anything other than MTH real tracks. So operation over switches, I cannot yet vouch for. The smoke output is on par with what I expected from a Lionel model, which is a huge leap forward from the brass hybrid decapod I reviewed previously. Overall, this is an extremely sharp-looking model that is a solid performer. It has some relatively minor flaws, but nothing that I feel makes this model less impressive or enjoyable to run. With any luck, this hefty Pacific will hold up just as well in the long-term review.